Good morning. How's everyone doing today?
Take this one away.
We're here.
We're here. That's a good start.
Yes, it's a great start.
And we are especially blessed because my folks are going to be late, so we don't have a groaner this morning.
I could come up with a story.
That's okay. Some things don't need to be, replaced. No, my sister and brother-in-law were in town for a couple of days, and they're leaving this morning, so they'll be a little late. Anyone have anything good or productive to share?
It has to be both.
Oh, one. Good or productive.
If it's productive, it's good. If it's good, it's productive.
Feels like fall today.
Feels like fall? I don't know if I go that far, but it's nice.
I kind of got a praise report. I don't know if you know, but I have a son that's in prison. And one of his buddies, they're at the Carroll Estates unit between Richmond and Sugar Land. One of his buddies was diagnosed with colon cancer.
Oh.
His father and an uncle both died of colon cancer. And when my son would call me, he'd put his friend, his name Johnny Capps, and I would, tell him about scriptures. He knows some. He was through the Bible camp anyway. Johnny Capps was just in Galveston Hospital because that's where they take guys. And he was there for 2 or 3 days, and he got back on Friday, and he's totally cancer-free.
Oh, praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. That is awesome.
Yeah, but I give God the glory, I think it's, prayers from, because I don't know if they've done anything to him, but anyway,
Oh,
cancer-free.
that's great. I got a call on Friday that one of our pastors in our circuit who serves the Fuel Congregation, our Savior in Colossians and our Redeemer in Colossians and St. Luke in Sweeney passed away unexpectedly. So that's we now in our circuit, which goes from Victoria, Lake Jackson, up to Patterson and over here. That's 5. We have 5 congregations that are vacant.
Wow.
And
And how many total are there in there?
so we have Edna, we have
What was his last name?
hold on.
I think he was
Like
a minister.
10 to 12 that I can think of. Yeah, so it's a good amount. His name was Ed Blenio.
It's kind of about what we used to have.
Ed Blenio. So after we are done here, we had some ideas of, we're going to do a short stint through this. Oh, I haven't changed that over yet. You can't see. You can't see that. They can at home. Let me get pull this up then. Not that. Sorry, hold on. That's not right. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Go here. We're going to go through this, the longer version. This is just a portion of this. I wouldn't expect anyone to know what this is, but it is a portion of what's called the D.K. The D.K. Yes. So we'll get more into what that is, of course, once we're done here. But that it was a the brief aspect, it was considered an early church catechism or manual of sorts by some. So we'll go through part of that. What's that? Well, we'll cover all that now, but between 70 and 100 AD. So very early. There's some interesting things in it. All right. We can't cover it all now. I mean, you're all asking questions. We got to, cover it when we're going to cover it. Patience, yes. I mean, if you want to look up the D.K, you can. D-I-D-A-C-H-E. And, yeah, that's all I'll say about it. Okay. We are at, sorry, hold on a second. Why is that? Okay. We are at chapter 21. 21. So we are almost through because there's 24 chapters. We've got pretty much the everyone's got their inheritance. The different tribes have their inheritances, and we have the cities of refuge. Those have been dictated on what those cities are going to be. So one of the last things, or some of the cities of refuge, is the cities and pasture lands allotted to Levi, because remember, Levi does not get an inheritance. So that's where we are. But he makes a great pair of jeans. Oh my gosh. Oy vey. All right. Did he? Yes. Well, you can ignore some texts from him. All right. Then the heads of the fathers' houses of the Levites came to Eleazar, the priest, and Joshua, son of Nun, and to the heads of the fathers' houses of the tribes of the people of Israel. And they said to them at Shiloh in the land of Canaan, remember Shiloh was kind of their headquarters during all of this time. It's where the tabernacle was. Yahweh commanded through Moses that we be given cities to dwell in, along with their pasture lands for our livestock. So by command of Yahweh, the people of Israel gave to the Levites the following cities and pasture lands out of their inheritance. Now, I'm going to pause on this part. Any aspects of that right now?
Why were they separated like they were? I mean,
What do you mean?
well, I mean, everybody else got their inheritance.
You remember why the Levites didn't get land? It said several times in Joshua, and it's actually said other places too. I think it was in Exodus as well. But we're going to look at some of the commentary here. So here's a couple of things from it. So 4 times previously, this is from one of the commentaries, the author of Joshua had reminded the reader that the Levites received no allotment of land like other tribes. Instead, their inheritance consists of Yahweh himself, his gifts, and their priesthood in his service. The cities that the Levites receive are from the inheritance of the other Israelites and are in the midst of the possession of the Israelites. But the Levitical cities are never called the inheritance or possession of the Levites themselves. The Levites could live in these cities and make use of them, but they were not attached to or rooted in these cities as their permanent residence, in the same way that the other tribes were grounded in their own territories. And then a little bit further on, their dispersion among the tribes, that is, these Levites, their cities are going to be dispersed all throughout the other tribes. So they're kind of scattered. Their dispersion among the tribes will become a blessing for all of Israel. The Levites are to be the teachers of God's people as they watch over the word of Yahweh and guard his covenant. With their teaching ministry permeating every area of the land of promise, and their offering of sacrifice and increase that they set up at the tabernacle, which is right currently at Shiloh, And later at the Jerusalem temple, they will be like salt and light. Yahweh will bless the tribes as it ministers to its people on its behalf. Further on. Nine from Judah and Simeon, and we'll look at the map in a minute too. 9 from Judah and Simeon, and 4 are from Benjamin. Since these 13 cities, this is from the Kohathites, since these 13 cities are from those 3 tribes, the priestly Kohathites will be near Jerusalem for the eventual temple service there. Because remember, the temple is still quite a ways away, even though the building lies several hundred years in the future. Yahweh's control over the lot with a practical view towards the future, known only to him, is thus obvious. And then all 6 cities of refuge from Joshua also appear in the list of Levitical cities in Joshua, as they should. Okay, so that gives a little bit of understanding. So that's why they didn't have their own, because the Lord was their inheritance.
Really good, and they still were a blessing for the other tribes.
Yeah, but they couldn't like pass on, to their future generation or anything else. I mean, they had provision, but they didn't have an inheritance in land.
But did they teach from scrolls that had the law of Moses, or was it word of mouth?
Yeah, that's an excellent question, and I would say I don't know if they all had scrolls, copies of the scrolls. We don't really know that, but I can say whatever they were supposed to do, they didn't do well. I mean, I think the evidence of them completely ignoring God and His will time and time and time and time again, and the exile itself, is pretty good indication they didn't do a very good job.
But weren't the Levites, wasn't that a position that was passed down and with it came?
Yeah. I mean, if you were born of the Levitical family, you could have this service. Now, let's look at some of the cities that they were given, and then we'll look at a map once for that. The lot came out for the clans of the Kohathites. So the Levites, who were descendants of Aaron, the priest, received by lot from their tribes Judah, Simeon, Benjamin, 13 cities. The rest of the Kohathites received by lot from the clans of the tribe of Ephraim, from the tribe of Dan, and from the half-tribe of Manasseh, 10 cities. Now, so if you remember, the Kohathites, it says, and then those of the Kohathites, there were some from Aaron. So all of those in the line of Aaron are Levites. Not all Levites are the line of Aaron. So all the Levites can be considered as priests in a broad sense, but they are not priests. That belongs to the descendants of Aaron. So the descendants of Aaron is kind of a subgroup of the Levites who had specific roles and could become high priests and then priests. They're the ones that did the sacrifices. They're that one. The rest of the Levites could take care of the tabernacle or temple, do other teachings, assist in things like that, but they were not of the priestly line. So what do you see here of, it hinted at this, or stated in the commentary, but what do you see of those that are of the line of Aaron? Verse 4 verse 4. Received by lot from the tribes of Judah, Simeon, and Benjamin, 13 cities. Well, let's take a look here. No, not that one. Let's take a look. Okay, so it said, of those of the line of Aaron are given from Judah, Simeon, and Benjamin. It said this in the commentary. Why do you think that's significant? Yeah, so they were of the southern kingdom, the kingdom that when it became divided, the kingdom of Judah, but also because these are going to be near where Jerusalem and the temple would be. So those of the priestly line would have a shorter commute to work, if you will, right? So
Time as king, the temple was started, the starting of building of it was in 966 BC, but it was called the Temple of Herod that didn't come till.
well, yeah, and that, yeah.
later.
So Solomon's temple was destroyed during the exile, 587, 586. That temple was destroyed. The temple that became Herod's temple, or was called Herod's temple, was the second temple.
Okay.
That was the second temple period. And actually, if you will, it's called the second temple, but really it was kind of the third, because Herod redid everything. The second temple was actually built in Nehemiah, Ezra's time, when they came back and they rebuilt the temple. But Herod then made it much more elaborate. He built the outer walls and all the colonnades, and he really built it up. I mean, tremendously. To where like Josephus and others would call it one of the wonders of the world. I mean, it was spectacular in its riches. But it's still called the second temple. But it's not the same one as Solomon. It had the same dimensions. The temple proper still had the same dimensions as Solomon's, but it was a totally different temple. So the rest of the Kohathites, they had some other ones in, where did it say, in Dan and Ephraim and part of Manasseh. I'm assuming that this part of Manasseh. So they're still a little close, but they're not quite as close as these others.
Yeah, because the southern kingdom remained true Israelites, whereas the northern kingdom, a lot of them intermarried with different tribes.
Well, the thing is the southern kingdom did too, but not to the same extent. And where we see in the divided kingdom, when the northern kingdom, which became Israel, the northern kingdom of Israel and the southern kingdom of Judah, when the northern kingdom, when they broke apart, none of their kings are described as godly kings. None of them. Whereas in the south, they have bad, good, bad, good, bad, good. I mean, it kind of, you saw a little bit interspersing here. So the northern kingdom, they were taken out of exile by Assyria in 722 BC. And it wasn't until 587 or 586 BC that the southern kingdom was taken into exile into Babylon. And that's because Babylon had overtaken Assyria at the time. So there was quite a bit of time difference between the north and south. But you remember, like when Jesus is with the woman at the well, the Samaritan woman, and she's talking to him and says, you Jews worship at Jerusalem, we worship at Jerusalem and stuff. So they had their own temple of worship and stuff. I don't think that's on here. I want to say it's around here, but yeah. So they set up all these other things that they were supposed to do in worship and practice. Anything else on that? Okay, 6. The Gershonites, which was another one of the family heads from the tribe of Levi. Gershonites received from Lot. Oh, sorry. There we go. From the tribe of Issachar, from the tribe of Asher, from the tribe of Naphtali, and from the half-tribe of Manasseh in Bashan, 13 cities. So if we look at those, Naphtali, Issachar. All right, so that's Naphtali, Issachar, and this is the part of Manasseh that's up by Bashan. Bashan's up around here. So it's not this part of Manasseh, but this part. Okay. The Merarites, according to their clans, received from the tribe of Reuben, the tribe of Gad, and the tribe of Zebulun, 12 cities. These cities and their pasture lands the people of Israel gave by lot to the Levites, as Yahweh had commanded through Moses. Out of the tribe of the people of Judah and the tribe of the people of Simeon, they gave the following cities mentioned by name. These are so it mentioned in general that in these areas. Now it's going to mention the cities by name, which went to the descendants of Aaron, one of the clans of the Kohathites who belonged to the people of Levi, since the lot fell to them first. They gave them Kiriath Arba, Arba being the father of Anak. That's mentioned more than once in Joshua, and that is Hebron. Okay, so It says it in verse 12, but yeah, do you remember what the significance of that city is? Verse 12 is going to say that right there. We heard about this city because it was given to Caleb. And we heard what the name means, that is the father of Anak, that is the chief among the Anakim, which were these giant people, these big warrior, whatever, confusing people. But so that's where the name Arba, being the chief, this is where it says otherwise in Joshua, that Arba was the father of Anak, that he was the chief of the Anakim in that. So they mentioned this was the previous name. Well, you're not going to keep this name because that name references an enemy and a false worship. So the name was changed to Hebron. Right. So here we have Caleb, the fields of the city and its villages have been given to Caleb. All right, so it's going to get even more money. So like, well, what part does Caleb have? What part do the Levites have? We'll get more money here in a minute too. But it says here, verse 12, the fields of the city and its villages given to Caleb. But the pasture lands kind of around it are going to be for the Levites. So I always wonder if there were disputes. So like, no, that's part of the city. No, that's part of the village. No, that's part of, who gets what, right? Anything on that?
Well, Hebron, there's not really much talk about it, but just north of Hebron, for 2 miles is Mamre, where God spoke to Abraham.
Yeah.
And that's where he built an altar.
Yeah.
And that. And, on Holy Land tours, there is nothing about that. And I think that is a very important site that should be part of
That's it. And of course, part of it is, where these descriptions and where we have, it's like, this seems like the logical place of what was Hebron and stuff, but a lot of our records are lost, so some of it is educated guesses on exactly. But yeah, it's an important part, especially when the Lord spoke to Abraham with the trees of Mamre. Yeah. 13. And to the descendants of Aaron, the priest, they gave Hebron, that is that one right there, the city of refuge for the manslayer with its pasture lands, labor in its pasture lands. Okay, so what did you just see there? It was also a sanctuary city. So you had Caleb, you had the Levites, and it was a city of refuge. I would think that city would have a bit of a schizophrenic identity issue. There's a lot going on in that city. All right, we won't get into all of the names. Jutar with its pasture lands, all of these villages and names, which means nothing to any of us, but it did to them. The cities, verse 19, of the descendants of Aaron, the priests, were in all 13 cities with their pasture lands. 20. To the rest of the Kohathites, belonging to the Kohathite clan of the Levites, the cities allotted to them were out of the tribe of Ephraim. They were given Shechem with its city of refuge from manslayer. 4 cities have the tribe of Manasseh with its pasture land. 2 cities, the cities of with the 10 pasture lands. 27. To the Goshenites, one of the clans of the Levites, were given the half tribe of Manasseh, Golan and Bashan. That is the very northeast version area of the map, with its pasture lands. All these other cities that with really tough names. Hey, Tommy. The tribe of Naphtali, verse 33. The cities of the several clans of the Goshenites were in all 13 cities with their pasture lands. To the rest of the Levites, the Merarite clan were given out of the tribe of Zebulun. That's up in the north. Oh my gosh, so many names. 39 Heshbon. Right, cleanse. We're allotted 12 cities in all. 41. Cities of the Levites in the midst of the possession of the people of Israel were in all 48 cities with their pasture lands. Any reflections on any of that?
Hold on, gotta add in.
I'm guessing they got off all right.
They got off.
Just checking some others in. No other reflections on that?
The,
Yeah.
in the midst of possession of the people of Israel or all 40?
Yeah, so again, when it's talking in the midst of, so their cities are in the area of the inheritance of the other tribes. So they're in the midst of, they're in the middle of these things. Verse 42 is an interesting one. Doesn't seem like it. Seems like just these cities and their pasture land around it, so it was with all these cities. Right? But the Septuagint is much longer in this verse. So let's take a look at that. I mean, not of anything of substance, but it is interesting and just that in its length. So verse 42 in the Septuagint says, around these cities, a city and its surrounding, let's make that a little bigger, hold on. No, I'll have to make it. Okay. Around these cities, a city and the surrounding lands around the cities for all these cities. And Joshua finished distributing the land in their boundaries. And the sons of Israel gave a portion to Joshua according to the command of the Lord. They gave to him the city of which he asked. They gave him Timnath-Sarai in the mountain of Ephraim. And Joshua built the city, and he lived in it. And Joshua took the swords of stone by which he circumcised the sons of Israel who were on the way in the desert, and he placed them in Timnath-Sarai. So that's a much longer reading in the Septuagint for that one verse than is in the Hebrew. And it's nothing that is particularly new or all that important. Some of it's repeated information. It's just interesting that it is repeated in the Septuagint, in the Greek version.
So, they circumcise people with a sword?
It's a little sword, like you get on Jerusalem.
Yeah. Like the kind you have on your olives and your martini. Yeah?
Sure. We're sorry.
What they use for their blades, I don't know. Or maybe the word for sword has a different meaning there too. I didn't do a deep dive.
Yeah, that should be like that.
All right, 43. This is kind of a nice summary.
Let me hold that over.
Thus Yahweh gave to Israel all the land that he swore to give to their fathers. And they took possession of it, and they settled there. And Yahweh gave them rest on every side, just as he had sworn to their fathers. Not one of all their enemies had withstood them, for Yahweh had given all their enemies into their hands. Not one word of all the good promises that Yahweh had made to the house of Israel had failed. All came to pass. That does not mean that they were faithful in their carrying out of all of it, but God was faithful in his promise and what he did do all. But that's a great summary statement of a lot of this, that of all of the stuff that happened, God was faithful in.
Nope.
One of the Lord's big promises. Never failed.
Not one failed.
What is it, Numbers 23:19, says that God is not a man that he should lie.
Yeah.
He keeps his promises.
He keeps his promises. That's right. That's right. and that statement right there already tells you that man does lie. Yeah.
right, chapter 22.
Now, on the one hand, you got to give it to these eastern tribes that came through with them. You know, they had gotten their inheritance early, and they stuck it through until all the rest had gotten. They fulfilled their word and got to return back. On that one hand, you got to give them some credit. On the other, why couldn't they be patient and receive what God had promised instead of trying to, you know, preempt and get what they wanted? I have some issues with the way they did that. But it was allowed. 22. At the time, Joshua summoned the Reubenites and the Gadites and the half-tribe of Manasseh. So if we look on here, that's these. Reuben, Gad, half-tribe of Manasseh. So that's all you see on the east side of the Jordan over here. And he said to them, "You have kept all that Moses, the servant of Yahweh, commanded you, and have obeyed my voice in all that I have commanded you. You have not forsaken your brothers these many days, down to this day, but have been careful to keep the charge of Yahweh your God. And now, Yahweh your God has given rest to your brothers as he promised them. Therefore, turn and go to your tents in the land where your possession lies, which Moses, the servant of Yahweh, gave you on the other side of the Jordan." And here's some foreshadowing for all of them. But he says, "Only be very careful to observe the commandment and the law that Moses, the servant of Yahweh, commanded you, to love Yahweh your God, and to walk in all his ways, and to keep his commandments, and to cling to him, and to serve him with all your heart and with all your soul." So Joshua blessed them and sent them away, and they went to their tents. All right. Anything on that? So, if it shouldn't become clear, that's a foreshadowing of an event. But not in the way that you think. I think it'll become clear. So because what do you think is going to happen here?
They're probably not gonna do it.
That they're not going to do it, right?
Right?
So, and he's given this warning, and they won't, ultimately they won't. But in the incident that's coming up, that's not exactly way up. But what Joshua is telling to them, that should be ringing in your ears as we look at the event coming up.
But none of this land of these three tribes belongs to Israel now.
True. Yeah.
So when did they lose
I
that?
don't know. I should look that up, but I don't know. I don't know if that was just after the Exodus that just never. I don't know.
Because that was part of God's promise to Israel.
I don't know that portion was ever part of God's promise for Israel.
Because it was east of the Jordan.
Yeah. And that's why I wonder about their request for it and why God even granted it. Because I don't think it was initially.
Well, did they, the 10 tribes got carried off and were never heard from again by the Assyrians.
Well, I mean, never heard from again. There was a remnant from all of them that did come. But as a tribe, as a unified people, they were lost.
Because wasn't it the Assyrians, when King or Sennacherib was coming from like modern day Iraq and destroying all the Israelite cities, that they were fleeing to the southern kingdom?
Some of them were, yeah.
So then there are remnants of.
There are there's never one that's just seems completely wiped out.
My point is, it was at that point, I think, that they lost that land and never really got it back.
That could very well be. It could very well have been in 522 when Assyria took them. But I'm not positive on that. All right, so verse 7. Now to the one half of the tribe of Manasseh, Moses had given a possession in Bashan. That's the very upper north area. But to the other half, Joshua had given possession beside their brothers in the land west of the Jordan. So that it's divided. And when Joshua sent them away to their homes and blessed them, he said to them, Go back to your tents with much wealth and with very much livestock, with gold, silver, gold, bronze, and iron, with much clothing. Divide the spoil of your enemies with your brothers. So the people of Reuben and the people of Gad and with the half tribe of Manasseh returned home, parting from the people of Israel at Shiloh, which is in the land of Canaan, to go into the land of Gilead, their own land of which they had possession themselves by command of Yahweh through Moses. All right, here comes an issue. Verse 10. When they came to the region of the Jordan, that is in the land of Canaan, the people of Reuben and the people of Gad and the half-tribe of Manasseh built there an altar by the Jordan, an altar of imposing size. The people of Israel heard it, said, Behold, the people of Reuben and the people of Gad and the half-tribe of Manasseh have built the altar at the frontier of the land of Canaan in the region about the Jordan on the side that belongs to the people of Israel. And when the people of Israel heard it, the whole assembly of the people of Israel gathered at Shiloh to make war against them. All right, don't keep reading. What do you think the issue is here?
False God?
They are fearful that they have already abandoned and they're building, because you weren't supposed to be making these other altars and having other places of worship. So if you're building a place of worship and you're not supposed to, who are you worshiping? Who are you building this to? Where is your allegiance? And so it's also interesting they said that they built it on this side, in the land of Canaan, not on their side.
Okay. Well, so that's not their property to begin with.
It wasn't their property to begin with. Yeah, that's a part of it too.
But why assume that it's worshiping a false god? It doesn't.
Because it's much the same way like what some Christian denominations divide up. You know that there's a differing numbering systems of the Ten Commandments. Some will say, you shall have no other gods before me, you shall not make graven images. Some divide those into two, mostly Reformed Christians. So Presbyterians, Baptists, Methodists, and stuff. Lutherans, Roman Catholics, and Jews and others say, no, those are one. If you had another god, you made an altar to them. If you had another altar or you made a god, you worshiped him. Those are describing two aspects to the same command. Okay? And that's for a reason. Because if you're making this, especially in a place that God has not said, you are doing it to worship. It was turned out to be an incorrect assumption, but it's an understandable assumption.
Okay. But it doesn't say that it was built to worship God like
True.
all other altars.
And that's what it's going to get to.
Okay, but was it forbidden to build an altar everywhere else on the?
There should be because like this, it creates confusion. And God didn't say to do that. Now that doesn't mean there aren't other altars. There are ones throughout the Old Testament, especially before before they go down to Egypt and stuff, where they built altars, where ones are set up, monuments and other things. So it's not completely out of the question, but it's mostly out of the question.
Yeah, but like Jacob, when he slept in that
Right.
place, and when he woke up, he said, surely God is in his place.
And he built, right. Right.
I think that was in Bethlehem.
Yeah, and so there's going to be a difference here. Is this an altar for worship? Is it an altar of memorial, or monument, or what is the purpose? So the people of Israel, all the tribes that come to war against them because of what they consider this to be idolatry. Okay, so that's where we are. Make war against them. Verse 13. They just got rest from everyone else, and now they're going to have a civil war. All right, then the people of Israel sent to the people of Reuben, the people of Gad, the half-tribe of Manasseh, in the land of Gilead, Phinehas, the son of Eleazar the priest, and with him 10 chiefs, one from each of the tribal families of Israel, every one of them as the head of the family among the clans of Israel. The people came to the people of Reuben, the people of Gad, the half-tribe of Manasseh, in the land of Gilead, that is on the east side, and they said to them, Thus says the whole congregation of Yahweh, what is this breach of faith that you have committed? Oops, hold on. You have committed against the God of Israel, not against us, the God of Israel, in turning away this day from following Yahweh by building yourselves an altar this day in rebellion against Yahweh. Have we not had enough of the sin of Peor? Remember when there were others that built things and they were swallowed up by the land, which even yet we have not cleansed ourselves, and for which there came a plague upon the congregation of Yahweh, that you too must turn away this day from following Yahweh? And if you too rebel against Yahweh today, then tomorrow he will be angry with the whole congregation of Israel. That is us too. Because of your breach of faith, we're going to get in trouble too. But now in the land of your possession is unclean, pass over into Yahweh's land where Yahweh's tabernacle stands, and take for yourselves a possession among us. In other words, if this is going to be a problem for you to be over there, and that's going to cause you to worship, come back, we'll redivide some things, and we'll make a place for you over here so that we can all be faithful together. Only do not rebel against Yahweh or make us as rebels by building yourselves an altar other than the altar of Yahweh our God. Did not Achan the son of Zerah break faith in the matter of the devoted things, and wrath fell upon all the congregation of Israel? And he did not perish alone for his iniquity. Here comes the response. And the people of Reuben, the people of Gad, and the half-tribe of Manasseh said in answer to the heads of the families of Israel, the mighty one, God, the Lord, or God, Yahweh, the mighty one, God, Yahweh, he knows, and let Israel itself know. If it was in rebellion or in breach of faith against Yahweh, do not spare us today for building an altar to turn away from following Yahweh. Or if we did so to offer burnt offerings or grain offerings or peace offerings on it, may Yahweh himself take vengeance. That is, there's only one place for that. No, but we did it from fear that in time to come, your children might say to our children, what have you to do with Yahweh, the God of Israel? For Yahweh has made the Jordan a boundary between us and you. He has made a boundary. Interesting. They chose this. They are the ones that chose this boundary. Anyway, you, people of Reuben and people of Gad, you have no portion with Yahweh. You little infidels sitting over there. So your children might make our children cease to, your children might make our children cease to worship Yahweh. Therefore we said, let us now build an altar, not for burnt offerings, nor for sacrifice, but to be a witness between us and you, and between our generations after us, that we do perform the service of Yahweh in his presence with our burnt offerings and sacrifices and peace offerings, so your children will not say to our children in time to come, you have no portion in Yahweh. And we thought, if this should be said to us or to our descendants in time to come, we should say, behold, the copy of the altar of Yahweh, which our fathers made, not for burnt offerings, nor for sacrifice, but to be a witness between us and you. Far be it from us that we should rebel against Yahweh and turn away this day from following Yahweh by building an altar for burnt offerings, grain offerings, or sacrifice, other than the altar of Yahweh our God that stands before his tabernacle. That's the place. That's the only place. And we are acknowledging that. When Phinehas, the high priest, and the chief of the congregation, the heads of the families of Israel, Israel, who were with him, heard the words of the people of Reuben and the people of Gad and the people of Manasseh spoke, it was good in their eyes. Phinehas, the son of Eleazar the priest, said to the people of Reuben and to the people of Gad and the people of Manasseh, today we know that Yahweh is in our midst, because you have not committed this breach of faith against Yahweh. Now you have delivered the people of Israel from the hand of Yahweh. Phinehas, the son of Eleazar the priest, and the chiefs returned to the people of Reuben and the people of Gad in their land of Gilead to the land of Canaan, to the people of Israel, and brought back word to them. The report was good in the eyes of the people of Israel. The people of Israel blessed God and spoke no more, making war against them to destroy the land where the people of Reuben and the people of Gad were settled. The people of Reuben and the people of Gad called the altar witness, for they said, it is a witness between us that Yahweh is God. So this is big.
Those three tribes were Texans because they put up a historical marker.
They put up a historical marker, but they did it not on their land. But it's interesting because they're putting it up not just as a reminder for their children, they're putting it up as a reminder to the children of Israel. Yeah. Don't cut us out. Don't cut our children out.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's a big sigh of relief there. Because, you know, you could just imagine, you've gone through all of these years, you finally have your inheritance, everything is settled, you know, all the decision making and Shiloh and stuff, they're like, we're finally done, we can relax. And then they have to gear up and say, oh, what now? Go to war against your brothers? So, like I said, it was when Joshua was telling them, only be sure to do these things, you're thinking in your mind, they're not going to be, but that's not what it is about.
So now everybody loves everybody.
Yeah, that's not the case. Yeah.
What are those symbols representing at the bottom of that paragraph? At the bottom of the screen?
These?
Yeah, so
These? Oh, that's just within the software I have it, so it'll tell you like who it's speaking to, who the speakers are, who the recipients are. I can hide those too, but those are just, yeah. I have it in my software where I can turn on different things that help give more information.
So click on one of them, what does it say?
Well, like up here, so this quote is to the Benjamites, to the Gadites, to the Reubenites, and so it says, you know, the descendants of the patriarch Reuben during the conquest. Down here, it's to a lot of different people. So the leaders, from judges, leaders, officers, elders, Israelites, yeah, different things. Yeah, a lot of different folks. Anyone else, anything else on this? Yeah. No, no. Well, because they weren't patient. So before they took possession, they're like, "Hey, this is good land. We want to stay here. Can we just settle over here instead?" And so Moses granted that to them. But the big question for me is, why weren't you patient to just get the land that God promised? But they were patient enough to stick around through the entire time. They were said, Moses said, I'll allow that, but you have to make sure and battle with us through all of the conquest. And they were patient in that. Yeah. Well, that's a very big question, and I'd say it this way: the Israel that is around today bears no resemblance to the Israel of then. They are not a religious organization. They are not a religious people. It is a secular state. Now, would God agree with what's going? Well, wait. He wouldn't agree with Hamas. Certainly, not going to agree with any kind of terrorist organization. Would he agree with killing of any innocent? No, that's not what God's about. God doesn't want that. So it's less of a theological issue in my mind on this, because we are children of Abraham. We are the ones that have the gift of the promise now. But I think every nation has a right to defend itself and its own people. Yeah. Yeah. That I thought that was a very generous offer. Yeah, well, it could be not in our backyard, right? I like it in general, but in specifics, I'm going to be against it. Yeah, I mean, that very well could be. Yeah. Mom, are you saying that you are? Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Hey, Hannah.
We don't want to wait for anything.
I don't want to wait a day or two for my Amazon package.
There you go.
Send it down.
We have 2 chapters left, man. We start here. I'm trying to think. All right. We'll go through 23. A long time afterward. Don't tell me. Ask me how long. I don't know. Long time. Long time afterward. When Yahweh had given rest to Israel from all their surrounding enemies, and Joshua was old and well advanced in years, Joshua summoned all Israel, its elders, its heads, its judges, its officers, and said to them, I am now old and well advanced in years. Like, tell me the obvious, right? Like, and you have seen all that Yahweh your God has done to all of these nations for your sake. For it is Yahweh your God who has fought for you. Behold, I have allotted to you as an inheritance for your tribes those nations that remain, along with all their nations that I have already cut off, from the Jordan and the great sea in the west. Yahweh your God will push them back before you and drive them out of your sight. You shall possess their land, just as Yahweh your God promised you. Therefore, be very strong. We heard that many times at the beginning, didn't we? You heard it at the end of Deuteronomy here. Be strong and courageous, be strong. Be strong to keep and do all that is written in the book of the law of Moses, turning aside from it, neither to the right nor to the left. What does that mean? Don't add, don't take away, do what God says, not more, not less. That you may not mix with these nations remaining among you, or make mention of the names of their gods, or swear by them, or serve them, or bow down to them. Hey, guess what they're going to do? But you shall cling to Yahweh your God, as you have done this day. For Yahweh has driven out before you great and strong nations. So you still get that idea that the commander of the Lord's army, the one driving them out. Driving out before you strong nations. And for you, no man has been able to stand before you to this day. One man of you puts to flight 1,000, since it is Yahweh your God who fights for you, just as he promised you. Be very careful then, therefore, to love Yahweh your God. For if you turn back, and you cling to the remnant of these nations remaining among you, and make marriages with them, so that you will associate with them, and they with you, know for certain that Yahweh your God will no longer drive out the nations before you. They shall be a snare and a trap for you, a whip on your sides and thorn in your eyes, until you perish off this good ground that Yahweh your God has given you. Again, some big foreshadowing there. Now I am about to go the way of all the earth, and you know in your hearts and souls, all of you, that not one word has failed of all the good things that Yahweh your God promised concerning you. All have come to pass for you. Not one of them has failed. But just as all the good things that Yahweh your God promised concerning you have been fulfilled for you, so Yahweh will bring upon you all the evil things until he has destroyed you from off this good land that Yahweh your God has given you, if you transgress the covenant of Yahweh your God which he commanded you, and go and serve other gods and bow down to them. Then the anger of Yahweh will be kindled against you, and you shall perish quickly from off the good land that he has given you. Do you remember, before Moses died, that God pulled Moses and Joshua in and told them what's going to happen? Joshua knows that they're not going to be faithful. But yet, keep trying. Keep saying, keep working, keep reminding, keep trying to encourage. And part of that, I mean, what would be the point in that? There's actually a few. I mean, why even try? You know, they're just gonna mess up. Why even bother?
God's on his side, he told me.
Well, because God told him. That would be one.
Well, there were times when they tried to do a course correction.
Yeah, and they did, yeah. So part of it would be to prolong the days before disaster, and as a witness against them. Part of it is that. Look, did I not say again and again and again? Did I not give you chance upon chance upon chance upon chance upon chance? Yeah. And that makes the disobedience all the more egregious.
In some way, it's the same thing we as parents tell our kids.
Yep. Even when you know they're not going to do right too.
It gets closer and closer to them leaving home. You just keep trying to remind them where you came from, where you came from. Can you continue on with that?
And at some point you have to wash your hands, right? I mean, you can't live their life, you can't do their thing. And Joshua is the same way. His heart is with his people. He wants them to do good. He wants them to be faithful, even if he knows they're not going to. Only so much you can do. All right, we're going to stop there. We have one chapter, just the last chapter, and again, and then after that we will take a look and start. I don't think it'll take us too long to go through the D.K, but the D.K. That's what we'll look at. There's an early church catechism of sorts. All right. Let's go with the benediction. Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine on you and be gracious to you. Lord, look upon you with favor and give you his peace. Amen. God bless. Have a good week.